Greetings, everybody. This is Sandra Black, and what I would like to bring you is update you on some things that I'm after in the court. I may have to follow up with the Supreme Court in order to get what I'm after because I am in the state of Indiana, home of the KKK. So, yeah, they've had marches here in my city where they come down and march. What I'm doing is setting precedents. It has never been done in America before. And instead of boring you telling the story twice, I'm just going to read what I'm asking the court because it talks about how it is important for America to recognize Black people need things to be in their favor for Black people, and nothing has ever been done for Black people. So here we go. Comes now Sandra Black, plaintiff pro se, and motions the court for reconciliation of the national crisis, the racial divide, by issuing a national press release covering the litigation of this case. Due to the fact that this case introduces a national remedy for Black people, number one, a new concept, embedded law, for a jury to consider. Number two, a complaint of malicious intent to harm by causing the removal of an innocent Black person from her home. Number three, a most devastating loss of an engineering career. Plaintiff has alleged that she was forced plummeting into a poverty-stricken condition, though a graduate from Tuskegee University with a prestigious degree. Okay, this is not just any regular degree. I'm talking about chemical engineering, Bachelor of Science degree, and the only reason why this happened is primarily due to being born with dark skin. How do you go to chemical engineering and get a degree from a university, a 5-year program engineering degree, and you're not allowed to work in this country just because you have chocolate skin? Okay, her entire family was then sucked into a never-ending vacuum of gloom and despair. Number four, I added some in there, you guys. I couldn't put all that in the court document, but it was saying what it needed to. Number four, forced to watch her mother abused, abandoned, living in solitary confinement, and possibly sexually assaulted. A rape kit was required, which lets you know there was something for them to do a rape kit that had happened. For nearly a decade, had she been born with white skin, this would have been impossible to have happened. Number five, currently, you guys, DCS literally lies on her intent to get her grandson. Fabricated that Sandra Black does not want guardianship. Just made this stuff up out the air. And then went lying to another agency, CASA, that Sandra Black does not want her grandchild. Utterly refuses to retract the statement and is currently on a witch hunt to seek a way to kidnap her grandson from the family. Blacks cannot escape embedded law. This is happening within the lawsuit right now that I'm being damaged, and you can't stop it. As a daily regimen of life suffering. So from here, Blacks cannot escape embedded law as a daily regimen of life suffering. And I don't care who you are, because I have watched Oprah get on TV and talk about, I've left this thing here, but I have to, because if Oprah is not immune, who is? I've heard her talk about going to places and they don't want to sell to her. I've heard her mention about her being proud of the moment of the Obamas getting in there and how she wished her grandmother could be alive to see this moment, that her grandmother would have never even imagined it possible. Talking about how she had to be a maid serving white people. That's what the condition she was in. And then her own white staff. Well, can we go to lunch now? That's how they answered it. I was like, I felt so sorry, and you know she can't talk on it because she had to be on code, and for me, I'm not for all the way that we get all upset at some of the ways that our stars stay on code, because the bottom line, if they get out there and touch a little bit, sprinkle a little bit our way, and then get back on code, like how Snoop Dogg did, people got all pissed off, talking about why he gonna take that back. Because you people aren't gonna stand there for him. Just like you didn't do for Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby went to prison for being an asshole. That's all he was. He was immoral. He was not a criminal because they did not pass those laws called the date rape laws. And when they passed those laws that you couldn't do that bullshit he was doing, he stopped. And then a lying heifer went to court and they backed all of his past up of him being immoral. That's what sent him to jail, was when he was immoral. Not that he broke any laws, because that woman wouldn't have never convicted him by herself. And this country ought to be ashamed of themselves for how they do our heroes and our people who try to make a stand. Do they make mistakes? Yeah. That's what this society does. That's what these my defendants are doing. They're seeking, she's human. We've got to find some kind of mistake. I mean, fishing all over the place. Just and even at this point, my defendant's attorney has submitted lies and misleading information to the court. It's not really perjury, but to me it's almost like the same thing because it's misconduct. You are an attorney and you are lying on a person. And I think it was because she didn't understand that I knew that after the reply she had the last say, but I could put an affidavit of misconduct in there on that ass. And I sure did, and testified against what she said. Okay, so I'm sorry. I get all excited and carried away because I have been through a lot, y'all. I am 60 years old. I take care of 4 grandchildren from ages 2 to 15, all by myself. And it is not easy. And you still have people like my defendants who lie and perjure themselves. If you look at the case, I am asking them to bring her up on charges because I definitely 100% have proven that she's perjured herself. And right now the court is awful quiet. I'm kind of concerned that I'm going to have to go to the Supreme Court to get justice. Hopefully we're in America, right? Okay, so embedded law concept. Now I'm going to explain to you through this submission, okay, of what embedded law is about and the concept of helping Black people. Okay, embedded law concept is used to protect Blacks by harshly punishing defendants that maliciously discriminate against a Black person who demonstrates hardship caused by the use of embedded law in their lives. This will inadvertently affect the lives of all Black Americans for the better. Corporations will begin to put special effort into assuring that Blacks are not discriminated against to avoid the possibility of extreme losses financially. what it establishes is that black people in America must be granted special protection in discrimination cases above all others in order to offset the 400 plus years until this very day of oppression and affliction that has and is happening only or disproportionately to black people alone. So it's happening only to blacks, or it's disproportionately more. Blacks get it more. Whatever is bad, black people get it more. To this date, to this very date, there is absolutely nothing set up to help just black people get over systemic racism and embedded laws created solely for black people. While all non-white people and women are discriminated against, none have the history or the degree of devastation as has been done to black people. Oh, let me mention, the reason why I'm using black people is because everybody know who we talking about. And I don't have time to spend 2 hours explaining who the Moors are, how America was originally nothing but black people. You know, we need to first get us some oxygen. Let us breathe, okay? Then we'll handle, can we stop the bleeding? And then maybe we can hopefully start to heal. So let's work on getting the oxygen. That's what this is. A little drop of oxygen, please, okay? Then another instance, I'm continuing, is the fact that black people are the only race of people forced without a land or a place of retreat from American bondage. If Mexicans get tired of suffering in America, they can retreat to Mexico. And that land belongs to Mexicans. The same for the Chinese, Asians, Indians, Arabs, and all other groups. Even Native Americans can retreat to their reservations to live free of white supremacy on their land, other than the typical white invasions into their land for the pipeline or whatever else they can steal from a people. But at least they have it to protest. Don't steal our land from us. Blacks are so devastated, kidnapped, with no place to call their own, to retreat from oppression. There is no black American land, territory, or reservation. And if I'm wrong, please show me where I can find that place for the people who were born descendants of the slaves here in America. However, the American corporation and other national corporations, you got to stop calling these countries countries, because what they're getting you on is the corporations. That's what's having everybody bound up. And we're going to talk about reparations after this, really quick and short. Okay. So let me start over. However, the American corporation, that's the United States, and other national corporations, I'm talking about Europe, saw to it that Jewish people had a land in 1948. Absolutely nothing is allowed for blacks, far more damaged than the Jews, for far longer. Finally, if slavery isn't enough ruin, no sovereignty isn't enough ruin, America then created laws, rules, and social barriers that evolved systematically to destroy any leverage ever gained by blacks establishing blacks, as this is establishing blacks as the permanent underclass of people in society, then what is enough? What is enough if none of that is enough? As such, plaintiff seeks As such, plaintiff seeks a court press release of major national attention to allow public awareness of this possible remedy for Black litigants, where America may begin international measures of lessening the racist stigma against America as the state of Indiana's first ever possible Blacks only protection and remedy from harm to offset Blacks only destruction and devastation for centuries. This historic panoramic battlefield consists of a poverty-stricken Black disabled grandma against judges, lawyers, agencies, and corruptions. A modern-day David and Goliath combat. Both the plaintiff and the defense should be allowed to present their case to the public to bring the citizens up to date. And then this case should be made public from there on out, as it is a public interest. Plaintiff also seeks that if there is any reservation, so whatever, of this court to grant a press conference release of national measures, that this court considers its past history, because they're already discriminating against me, being biased. And I think it's more, well, you never know. All you know is that you're not getting fair treatment. That's one thing you know beyond a shadow of a doubt. I do believe a lot of it is because I am not an attorney, so it's really easy to just point something out that, okay, well, the pro se isn't showing this picture just right. We're just going to call it whatever we want. And that's what they're doing a lot. Like, I even asked them for direction. They know that the defendants are refusing to give me production. And the court is backing them up that I cannot get my production by saying, when they gave me my tenant application, which was a booklet like this, which that was like about 40 or 50 pages. And then the violations, which was another 40 or 50 that they made up, the made up violations and other paperwork I already had. And then they refused to give me anything where I asked to produce documents showing white Section 8 tenants that were treated similar to Sandra Black. And the court backed them on that I had gotten my discovery, because I got what I already knew. So therefore you got discovery. And I say I have gotten 90% of what I asked for that was actually to be discovered. They didn't give it to me, misleading the court, who said, you got 100 and some pages, 100 plus pages, therefore you did get discovery. And they didn't care about the content or whether it was how many questions that I had that they were refusing to answer. Okay. So anyways, it just sums up everything in the end. And I just wanted to share with you guys that we have to get on the ball and learn how to play this language game, and know our history. That is what is stopping us from getting reparations. Number one, and oh boy, Black people, y'all gonna be mad. You gotta stop with white folks owe it to us. Now, start blowing up, turn it off, do whatever. But I'm just telling you, if you want reparations, it's not because white people owe it to us. We taught them all this bullshit. Everything they're doing to us, we already done to them. You see? But from a prophetic point of view, everything now that they're doing to us, if they don't fix it, the magnitude that they increased. This is coming back. We've been living this, I don't know what you want to call it, but we've been living this cyclic human existence for billions of years. They know that there's cities after cities after cities buried how deep? I'm just telling you guys. Now, first of all, anybody wants evidence, for you white people or want your evidence, you can go find it in the Bible. I don't know if I remember the exact verse, but there is a verse in there, and I believe it's in Mark something, where Jesus calls a Greek woman a dog. And she's begging him for help. Please, Master, help me. And Jesus, I mean, you could Google the scenarios of the words I'm talking about, and it'll come up. And Jesus said, why should I give the food for the children to a dog? And then the woman agrees with Jesus. Yes, Lord. But even the dogs eat the scraps from their master's table. Okay, so we had these people, black people, had these people so mind-washed and so brainwashed that they hated themselves. That, yeah, I'm a dog, but can't you just give me your crumbs? Now, Job 30th, that whole chapter, you guys, proves that blacks hated white people, and we kicked them out from amongst us. And if you read that chapter, you will see that these white people are tormenting Job, a black guy. And he's talking about, how are they on top of me now, whose fathers I would have disdained to eat with the flocks of my dogs. He said he wouldn't let their fathers be around his dogs. Okay? That's where he put white people. And then you know that they're white because you read on and you will see that they were cave people. And we were the tribal. The Bible is talking about nothing but black people. We are the tribal people till this very day. We are the tribal people. They're clansmen and they're cave people. So that proves it fact that there was a racial divide back then, and it was black supremacy. Now, what I'm talking about now is the power that you have to overcome this, white people and black people. If you don't want what you see that happened to us, because you don't see what we did to you, you see that glimpse, you go read Job chapter 30. You guys got blasted with the Anunnaki. Look it up. Anunnaki, and in the Bible they're called Nephilim. They came in and changed your DNA and mutated you away from our color. That's it. Just mutated your color and your melanin. So that there are some, I need to be selective with words here. Melanin plays a vital essence in life existence, but there's two types. You have the physical and you have the spiritual melanin. And it is very power to possess that. So though white people may not have the physical melanin, there are some white people who have the spiritual, from the spiritual side. And as above, so below. Anything you see in the body is also in the spirit. Anything you see on earth is in heaven. As below, so above. It's always like this. And then like you have Christians believing, well, we have to wait for Jesus to come, and they sitting back, don't want to do anything. What do you think's been causing all of the hell, all of these millennium? You've been brainwashed, and actually you don't believe in what Jesus talks about, because Jesus told you, pray that thy will be done. Okay? Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And you guys are sitting back talking about, well, I'm going to just sit back and wait for Jesus to come. Yeah, that's what the enemy wanted. And that's what we've been living through for the last millennium. You better get busy bringing heaven down to earth if you have any beliefs in righteousness or the Bible for real. And forget about this, oh, well, it's got to happen because Jesus said so. It's so much in that Bible. Look up prophets lie. Prophets lie. There's a lot of things that's prophesied to you in the Bible that is a lie. And the Bible tells you that. And Yahweh, the God of the Bible, said they went and told a lie that I said this. Look it up. The prophets lie. Look that up. I think it's in Isaiah. And it's in your book. A lot of it. And so if you are not well versed on your history, I'm talking about years and years and years, days and nights, studying the history of how this stuff all come about, all different kinds of books, then you need to just be saying, thank you, Jesus, hallelujah, be a nice person, and don't judge. Because there's nothing wrong with Christianity, but if you don't know how to decipher it, you are the one that 2 Timothy, I believe 2:15, where he says that you have to rightfully divide the word of truth. And Christians are supposed to believe that the Bible is the word of truth. And it does have truth in it, but if you don't divide that BS up out of there, and then you're judging. Okay? That's where the problem comes in. You're judging somebody else and you don't even know what you're talking about. You have to rightfully divide the word. And if you don't do that, then you won't know where the tricks and the deceit has gotten into God's word. You see? And see, I'm the type of person that I understand all of these religions have different aspects that helps you to get really closer to the Most High. I'm just mentioning that to say that a lot of what our problem is as a people, and now I'm talking to black people, you know how we are spiritual. We have the power to change the earth. We are a special people, not like that crap the Israelites, the black Israelites, and Israel and Jesus was talking about, okay? Not that like we're above every other race. No. Like we're the only race on earth to have the mixture of black and white. And all the others is within us. When white people were created, as I told you, it was a biogenetic warfare to mutate black people. So when you look at a white person, you're sitting there looking at a black person who has a mutant gene that causes them to be melanin deficient. They're a black person with a mutant gene. The only difference is between them and Michael Jackson is that they mutated a long time ago. I'm just saying. And I mean, it's a different type scientifically. But what happened to Michael Jackson is just showing you so that you could see it happen right now in time. It's the same thing that happened to them long ago. And then what we did is turned against them and told them to get away from us. And we roped them off. That's where Europe comes from. Europa. You roped us off from civilization, and they fell backward, and they were eating their children just to find food. And we did a horrible thing to white people. But at the same time, white people, if you don't get on board with because our time is about up. The worst that's going to happen for us now is that we're going to extinct ourselves. But then that means that we fail the test. This is nothing but a test ground, you know. And when you come here, the test is, can you unite and bring the kingdom of heaven and unite heaven? Unite the Muslims, the Christians, the Israelites, the Buddhists, the Hindus. Can you bring every one of the angels? Because it is only mankind that is also a special creature who has the power to do this. And so what I'm bringing to you, nobody hasn't talked about. But, and I have a book out called Ultimate Deceit of the Human Race. All of this is in there. I'm going to conclude because I don't want to go too far, but I just want for white people to understand, no, you don't owe us nothing. You have no business feeling guilty for nothing, because everything you did to us, we already did to you. But wouldn't you like not to go through what we went through? Because you can't see what you went through, but you can see what we went through. I promise you, your children and you, it's going to happen if you don't see that for your life's sake, you have to fix what you did so that we can break the cycle. You have to fix it. There has to be reparations. And for black people, we have to realize they're not going to give us nothing. You've got to go get your land. Incorporate. Once you incorporate, at that point, you are entitled to reparations. You got to learn how to work within the system. And then as you fight for that, they will also be enlightened. The more that we teach, the more that they learn, the more that we learn, the more that we all come together and realize all of this black hatred on the earth, because African Americans are not the worst treated. We are not the worst treated on earth. And if you don't believe me, you go and trade places with some of them people in Palestine. You go and trade places with, trying to think of the name of those people with their babies gasping for like fish out of water because they've gassed them. Syria. Go trade places with them, African Americans. You see? If you really open your heart and look at all of the situations around you, you see, then you can overcome your prejudices and your only self-preservation. Because self-preservation it's important, but at the same time, if that's all that you focus on, you won't understand how to make the next step. Because I remember I used to always focus on how can they be so evil? Because I'm suffering, you know. I'm here without, I would be making like $80,000 a year if white people didn't hate me and force me out of working. You see what I'm saying? I would have a mother that I wouldn't have watched for 10 years. Just abused, you can't imagine the horrific life that we had. And then to live trying to keep that house I was trying to keep, and that was a sign to me too. Stop trying to hold on to things no matter how beautiful you might have think they are. They're not that beautiful, you know. But at the same time, I was doing everything within my power to live a right life. And all things work together for good. But my point is that at the end of all this suffering, I'm like, why do white people do nothing compared to how many there are? I know they'll come out and do a little protest. But you're going to have to shut down businesses. This is going to have to be, this is not just going to be a situation of let's do policy. We've done policy. Policy doesn't work because what they'll do is say, okay, we'll give you this. And then they come around the back door 2 years later and take it back. That's what they did with civil rights. They gave us civil rights and said that, oh, no, you cannot discriminate against black people. How did they take it back? After the 60s, sometime around the 70s, sometime in there, I don't know the year it happened, corporations went to D.C. and said, put in the law that the burden of proof is on the individual. They were saying it costs too much and it's too hard for them to prove that they're not discriminating. So the individual is more powerful. Put it on them to prove it. So what that does is, by the time you get to court, you will have to have had severe discrimination and documentation to prove what happened, because discrimination is on the person, not on the corporation. And when you go to get help, the Equal Rights Opportunity Commission, EEOC. Okay, it's the EEOC. I'm looking for some water here because my throat's getting dry. I said I wasn't going to stay too long. Excuse me. So, but the EEOC, the Civil Rights Commission, all of these types of agencies are set there to be a witness for your employer or your landlord or whoever discriminated against you. I'm telling you, I bet you it's at least 90% of all cases, no, declined, no, denied. They weren't discriminated against. The only people that I have ever known to win discrimination case are white people that say black people discriminated against them. I'm just telling you what my experiences are. I have never known one single black person to win a discrimination case in these agencies. I do know of one white lady who told me that she won against black people discriminating against her. So I'm just letting you, and this is the real tragic situation. You have to go to them in order to get to the court. You cannot just go to the court and say, I've been discriminated against. You have to go to an agency so that agency will back them and say, no, we didn't see any discrimination. The nice thing is, when the civil rights in Indiana, they had the nerve to go and say that I had my grandchildren in the house illegally, that they wasn't on the lease. They didn't even know who was on the lease, let alone investigate. You don't know who's on the lease, but you going to say, we don't find no signs of discrimination. All of that mess that went on in court with all the lying, and I pointed it all out, and they still couldn't see no discrimination. The court I'm in now, you guys, the people wrote there were several people. There were other people. They said there were additional people all living in my house that they witnessed. We saw it with our own eyes, firsthand. Not realizing that I get to cross-examine. And when I come up, I ask them what they look like. Objection. The lawyer comes in. The judge, too. You know? All through the case, the judge is helping them. Looking and fishing for something on me. I'm talking about the state court now. This is the court before federal. This is the court. He's fishing for all the evidence he can get. You did something wrong other than what they brought. He's not supposed to do that. He brought out certain things that out of my own witnesses, fishing to get different things. And he even told me, it is my job to see if I have to evict you. That's not your job. That tells you how they think. So you got to listen to him. He told me it is my job to see if I have to evict you. And that wasn't his job. His job was to see what was right or wrong on both sides. That's where he was supposed to come from. His mind was supposed to look at both sides and judge the evidence of both sides. And the level of wrongness that these people did, this judge didn't even come close to putting everything out there. So, anyways, I've talked a lot. I just wanted to share. There's a whole lot I know I put out there on you guys. But we need to come together. And I think that when I said that black people are special people, I was talking in terms of our DNA. You know, we're the only people on earth with both black and white DNA. Recent. Now. Mexicans are black and white DNA. Indians are black and white DNA. Okay? But all of this black and white DNA, the latest people and the final people ever to have a mixture of black and white DNA is the African American population. And what that means is we are responsible for uniting the human race into having harmony with one another. We're never going to be the same. We weren't meant to be the same. But we can have harmony. We can accept our differences, that they exist, and that some of us are never going to want to be next to the other of us. That's human nature. That's the reason why our enemy, Anunnaki, Nephilim, look up those words, came in and messed up our DNA so that we could fight each other over differences. And then they're the ones that came in and said, don't mix with them. They're dirty. You see? And so what did we say? Yeah, you guys are dirty. And now, today, what happens? White people go to Rwanda and pick out people with sharper nose, smaller lips, and call them Tutsis. And then the black people, you're Hutu, the majority, and tell them that they can't have no land, and you Tutsis, y'all special, y'all get everything. You see? It's nothing but life, copying life. And for white people, I think that if you look at and really delve into what was done to black people, I think from that standpoint, you might want to fix the situation. Because if we extinct ourselves in this condition, it's your turn next. And then hopefully we will stop it, you know. But one of us groups has to stop the cycle. And if it's not going to be you, then you're going to live it worse than what you saw black people live. And so you think about that. That's the reason why you got to give up reparations. What goes around comes around. Everything is equal and opposite energy. Whatever you throw out, it will come back. It is a law. It will come back. And that's your power, black people. We don't need white people feeling guilty. You don't need to feel guilty. Like I said, everything you learned, we taught you that you did to us. But the cycle will repeat if you don't fix this. And this is where the power is to coming together. It's thinking about the future. Do you want to keep living this? Because I don't know how many billions of years we've been playing this exercise game. If you study your history, you'll know what I'm telling you is some powerful and truthful things. And I hope you will subscribe, because I'm gonna keep you updated with this case. And this case is going to bring about a change for black people. And I need for white people to jump on board to support it, to say, yes, we're tired of how black people, and I already know you guys are tired. The majority of white people are tired of these idiots that hate black people and hurt us. You know? I know y'all don't do a whole lot, but I understand, because I kind of didn't finish what I was saying about Syria. That's how I learned myself. I have a group. The group is called Global Citizens Unite. Global Citizens Unite. It is on Facebook. Join that group, and you will get a lot of information. And if you're a person who wants to share information and have a lot of knowledge to give, you need to be in that group, because we're very open and we do not censor. Okay? So we also get a, that's not, what do they call it? They'll say that it's fake news or it's false or whatever. You know, let us decide. We, the people, can decide what's false for ourselves. We don't need Facebook telling us what's false. Okay? So, and I think that we should be entitled to hear anything and everything and then judge for ourselves. So that's the way I run this group. Okay? And I have administrators that help us. But back to like what I was saying about Syria. When I was looking at how these people were suffering, and then I realized how hard I work for my group. And I know that these people are dying. They're being kicked out of their place. Millions and millions are in camps and all of this, displaced, and just a miserable life. Because that's what I make it my business to know how others are faring. But it dawned on me, with all their suffering, I don't spend night and day fighting for them. So, and African Americans, blacks, Moors, black Israelites, Muslims, whatever you want to call yourself, if you're honest, you know they got it worse than us. And we don't fight for them to have oxygen, you know? So that's the reason why white people, they're caught up on the hamster wheel of this evil society. It's placed within the society to punish you for being human. Drug addictions, criminal, suicidal, depression, mental illness, any human condition that is a part of our human existence, that's weakness. This society attacks that weakness and punishes that weakness to the highest degree. And then when you have one group of people to use color or sex, whether you're a female or even a male, depending on which way they want to punish you. Because men are punished in this judicial system for having children with women that are bitches. I'm sorry, but I just got to call it that. Because if you refuse and no, you cannot see your child, and you're doing all of this, it's just messed up. And then I don't understand why a court will always pick a woman as long as she ain't got money. Now, green tops everything. But as long as you are on the equal playing level with money, a woman gets the child. How does that happen? You know? Sexism. But everything else, this is a man's world. So I'm going to get off of here. I have a lot to say, but I'm going to get off of here because this is already getting up to an hour. But you guys pray for us to be able to come together and make the changes where it's not about the money. Can't be about the money. And what do? It's all about the money. Money is artificial. Money is not power. It's paper. As a matter of fact, now it's not even paper. It's a click of a button. That's money. Global elite. See, that's another big issue. That's the number one, or I should say number two. The other one is even higher. But the global elite has us fighting over $1 with one another. And let me give you a scenario real quick. I've shared this with people. When you look at the 1%ers, look at 100 people trapped in a room, locked in there. And somebody throws in 10 pizzas for them to share. They throw in the 10 pizzas. So the people in the room, the 100 people, is the same as the 7 billion on earth. And then one person out of the 100 people grab up all 10 pieces and say, y'all ain't getting none except these crumbs. I'm going to give you some of these crumbs for y'all to share. And that one person holds up 99% of all the pizza. Or maybe, let's say 90% of all the pizza. And then gives you 10% for the other 99 to share. You're sharing the crumbs of what earth and life has to offer. That's what your life is like. Chinese need to wake up while they're going over trying to start oppression in Africa again. The Indians need to wake up. The answer is not oppressing people and making the dollar, because it is artificial. The power is in the people. I'm telling you, take that to the bank. You don't want the dollar. You can't eat it. You can't wear it. You can't sleep in it. But if you get a community of people together, they can plant the food. They can eat the food. They can build houses and buildings, and they can use the water to make electricity, the riverways. They can use people are the power. You've been hoodwinked, and everything you think about is wrong. To some degree, there is wrong thinking. And that's the reason why the whole earth is oppressed, depressed, and suffering and going down because of our consciousness. So I'm going to get off and we'll talk more about this. Join my channel. I am really going to start putting out more videos, and let me know what you would like for me to talk about. As far as spirituality, I am really one of the most knowledgeable persons on earth. The only person I ever met close to knowing more than me, his name is Seven. 7, like the number 7. Look him up. He's deep. And I was like, he's really deep. He's close. But other than that, Phil Valentine, some of the others, I can't remember all of their names. They have their specialties that they specialize in real deep. But I'm talking about broad. Understanding our power, who we are. I took on a judge that tried to give my daughter 100 years. I can prove it. We did prayers, set up all kind of prayers. And see, this is the thing that black people done forgot about, our power to pray. And in July, they had charges of up to 100 years, and by August, that judge was dead. He was laughing when he had made my daughter take a plea. She got time served, and I think it was like, it might have been 6 weeks, but she wasn't supposed to get any time because the situation was, and that's what you have to do. You have to look for your right, in a situation. The people that was on the other side that the judge liked, rich white guy, he was guilty too of what he did, but we want to let him go totally free. And that's why I was telling the judge, I wrote the judge, I wrote the lawyers, my daughter's own lawyer. They need to go totally free because they had half my family down up in there. Not half of them, but it was 4 of them. Was it 4? I think it was 4. It's either 3 or 4. It was 4. It was 4 of them. So, yeah, they had them in there. And this guy was white, rich guy. Is the one that caused it all. He was maintaining a public nuisance. And that's what I asked the judge. If you feel sorry for this white guy who's maintaining a common nuisance, this is in Peru. My family wouldn't even know. All these people are white over there. How do they get over there in the first place? You see what I'm saying? You get to praying, because they wasn't about to stick my daughter with all that. And she did 6 weeks, 2 years probation, and the judge died because she was supposed to do nothing, just like that rich white man did nothing. Didn't even get brought up on charges. So actually, they got treated even worse because they got brought up on charges. And then my daughter's lawyer, I'm talking too much. I'm going to get off, I promise you. She got in trouble with some kind of probation violation, and he was begging her because he had already told her he's going to have me arrested for threatening him. How can you have somebody arrested because you say, look, all I want you to do is bring justice. You swore an oath. And see, this sounds like just talking, but this is power. This is really serious power. When they swear those oaths, they don't know what they're doing. You have the power to make them spiritually bound by those oaths. And every time they break them, it breaks down. All you have to do is just be on your square with the truth and ask diligently, like I had asked, Lord, you know that this man swore an oath to look for justice. And there's no way it's just to have a rich white guy guilty of crimes right along with the poor black people that you want to hang them totally by the neck. I'm talking about 100 years is a whole lot of time. Okay? And we'll talk more about that. I might put it out there for you guys. I have copies of the paperwork where you'll see I went to court and they were laughing because they were not about to let my daughter go totally free. And so that was funny too. And that was in July. And it wasn't August, it was September. July, August. So it was 2 months later, that man that was sitting there laughing was dead. Cancer. And it's in the paper. It happened just like that. So if we black people get together, get our act together, it's not about revenge. It's about bringing the earth into harmony and being one. Peace. Don't forget to subscribe.